What convinced Eddie Murphy to finally film the sequel of Coming to America? Which Easter eggs and references to the original are hidden in the new movie? And why did Bella Murphy have to break a family rule to get cast for the movie? Hi, I'm Dylan. Let's get started. The sequel wasn't planned at all. Incredibly, Eddie Murphy never planned on doing a Coming to America sequel.
We never thought about doing a sequel to the movie. We thought it was over because the story ended with him going off. It looked like they was going to live happily ever after, and that was the end of the story.
But surprisingly for Murphy himself, it became a cult movie. People even used to dress like Coming to America characters, and its little catchphrases made their way into modern culture. And seeing that the movie is still hugely popular, more than 30 years after it premiered, Eddie decided to continue the story. He revealed that it took 4 years to perfect the comedy sequel script, but not everybody was excited about the news, as they were afraid it would ruin the impression of the classic movie.
People would say to me when they found out I was doing it, "Don't that movie up, don't mess it up." I say, "What?"
However, Murphy was adamant about his decision, because we all need something light and funny in our lives now, so he put extra effort into creating a fitting sequel for Coming to America. Playing favorite characters turned into a nightmare. In the original movie, Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall played a whole bunch of wacky side characters. You definitely remember the Queen's barbers who spent their days arguing about boxing and Frank Sinatra, or Saul, their Jewish customer. Playing multiple characters became Murphy's trademark since then, so the fans have high hopes of seeing them all again. And the comedian actually confirmed on The Ellen Show that he played 5 or 6 of these goofy characters in the new movie. By the way, his personal favorite is none other than Randy Watson, the lead of the fictional Sexual Chocolate Band. He even revealed that if he could figure out how to do a sequel about him, he would do it instantly. But bringing these different looking characters to life comes at a cost, as the actors have to wear lots of makeup and prosthetics, which takes hours to apply. And this experience was so grueling for Eddie Murphy that he said he's officially retired from donning makeup in future films. However, he also admitted that he says that every time, and then years later, something happens and it kinda makes sense to do the heavy makeup again. Fortunately, the Coming to America sequel attracted some top-notch comedic talent to make up for the lack of cameos from Eddie Murphy. And there were also some newcomers, and one of them surprised fans. Wesley Snipes allegedly held Eddie Murphy hostage. Back in the 1980s, Wesley Snipes was a relatively unknown actor who was yet to find success with movies like Demolition Man and Blade. He was still auditioning for supporting roles, and one of the parts he chased was the role of Daryl in Coming to America. Snipes was beaten by Eric LaSalle back then, but this time he was ready to take any role. In an interview with Comics Beat, he joked that he held Murphy hostage and extorted him for the part of General Izzy. But of course, that wasn't the reason he was offered the role. The truth is that 2 years ago, Murphy and Snipes did the film Dolomite Is My Name, and Eddie loved his chemistry with Snipes so much that he couldn't resist including him in his next movie. Initially, Murphy was going to play the role of General Izzy himself, but he gave it to Snipes because despite being mostly known as an action star, Wesley is actually a versatile actor who can do drama and comedy too.
Wesley would be so much better in that role than me. It was like because Wesley could be menacing, and if I would have been the general, I would have just been funny.
In addition to Wesley Snipes, the film also includes new characters played by big names like Leslie Jones and Tracy Morgan. Morgan was particularly excited to team up with his idol for a big screen project, and was ready to play virtually any role. Originally, Murphy wanted him to play Akeem's son, but then he realized that he and Morgan are almost the same age. So Tracy landed the role of Uncle Reem. Some digital magic was applied too. There are things that cannot be done with makeup, no matter how professional it is. In Coming to America, there's a flashback scene where technology was used to make Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall look younger. Director Craig Brewer planned they should look just like they did back when the first movie came out. "I wanted people to think maybe this scene happened in the first movie, but they just didn't use it," he explained. Amazingly, it worked quite convincingly, because both Murphy and Hall, who are in their late 50s and mid-60s respectively, still look similar to how they did in the 1980s. By the way, the decision to digitally de-age the lead characters was the one that triggered the making of a sequel. Surprisingly, it happened when Eddie Murphy saw the Terminator movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger's face was made younger. And that was the very moment when he came up with the idea of that flashback scene. And the rest is history. How Zamunda was found in Georgia. The creators of Coming to America didn't have to travel too far to create the fictional African country and the lavish residence of its ruler. Fortunately, they found the perfect location in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was the rapper Rick Ross's palatial estate. The production team found several of the 109 rooms of this residence, the largest one in Georgia, to be the perfect royal setting. The entrance foyer and double winding staircase were the film's primary sets. Also, two beautiful big rooms with giant windows and 18-foot ceilings were used for the royal bedchambers. A fairly elaborate redesign of the furnishings made them really fit for the royal family of Zamunda. And the sky was the limit with the addition of lavish floral arrangements. The rooms were dressed every single day with new greenery that was, in some cases, shipped in from Europe. The property's owner says the original Coming to America may be his all-time favorite movie, and that he was chuffed to see Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall walking through his estate. They changed the wallpaper in the dining room, so I asked them to keep it up there, shares Ross. They also created that huge dining room table for a dining scene, and they left that for me as a gift. Apart from the mansion, its surrounding grounds turned out to be a suitable stand-in for creating Zamundan landscapes. Once the filmmakers found some antelopes to be let loose on the property, it looked pretty similar to the African plains. But as for the outfits of the fictional royal family, the film has relied on real designers to allow for a better representation of the continent on screen. The royal court's wardrobe might surprise you in many ways. Production designer Jefferson Sage revealed that he went with the idea that Akeem and his family had wealth beyond any wildest dreams, and that allowed them to have the most expensive and visually striking clothes. So he invited on board costume designer Ruth Carter, who won an Oscar for her work on Black Panther, dressing the royalty of another fictional African kingdom, Wakanda. She enlisted a team of almost 40 other designers, ranging from India to Nigeria, to help her create the eye-catching ceremonial wardrobe of the Zamundan rulers. In the original movie, they kind of had an imperialistic idea of royalty, which was a blend of English and African royalty. In the sequel, Zamundan aesthetics have moved 30 years forward, so the costumes were modernized to reflect contemporary norms and illustrate modern African fashion at the same time. And they also carry some throwbacks to the 1980s movie. For example, you definitely remember that iconic look of Akeem's father, who was wearing the taxidermied head of a lion draped across his chest, while Prince Akeem was wearing a leopard's head on his shoulder. In the new movie, there's a nod to that, but the real animal's head is turned into a large gold-plated lion's head that rests on Murphy's shoulder. And it's only one of the many callbacks to the original Coming to America movie. References, Easter eggs, and crossovers. The sequel is loaded with all kinds of references, inside jokes, and callbacks to the 1988 original, like the ongoing tiff between McDowell's and McDonald's. Some of the gags are hard to spot in the first viewing, but we'll name a few of them. For example, at the end of the big stick fight, Akeem's oldest daughter puts General Izzy on his back in the exact same way her father cut down Semi in the first movie. But this fight scene is curious for yet another reason, which we will tell you about just a little bit later. And when in the sequel Akeem and Semi return to Queens, they're surprised by how much the neighborhood has cleaned up, with the only exception being the mighty sharp barbershop, which has remained untouched throughout these 30 years. Thus, it produces a sense of coming home, and really anchors the new movie to the previous one. However, one of the best callbacks is when Akeem's son Lavelle is shown applying for a job at the Duke & Duke Company, being interviewed by Calvin Duke. It turns out Calvin is the grandson of Randolph Duke, one of the two rich racist businessmen who were the bad guys in Murphy's other movie, Trading Places. And mind that in the original Coming to America, there was a moment in which Akeem handed an envelope of money to a pair of homeless men. These were in fact Randolph and Mortimer Duke. Apparently, that donation became the basis of their successful company. Moreover, that scene with Lavelle means that the Coming to America sequel is technically a sequel to Trading Places too. And here's one more Easter egg that might surprise you. Murphy's daughter made her screen debut in Coming to America. Bella Murphy was super excited to be involved in the sequel, as her father broke a family rule by letting her audition for the role. Amazingly, none of Murphy's 10 children are allowed to work in the industry until they are 18. So Bella, who was 17 at the time of filming, didn't think it would be a possibility. However, her father knew how much she loves acting, but Eddie made it clear that Bella had to earn the role. She had to audition for Craig Brewer, who directed the movie, he revealed. I wasn't muscling my kid into the movie. She had to really be able to deliver. Of course, Bella took the chance, and although originally she asked to just be an extra, she played one of the African princesses. But Bella's big screen debut wasn't all fun. An on-set mishap during a fight scene almost got her grounded. In a tense fight scene, she accidentally hit her dad so hard with the bow staff that she saw his life flash before his eyes. We were just frozen there and I was like, what's about to happen? Bella recalled, and Craig yelled cut, and after my dad was like, you're grounded. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and we can see the father and daughter together on screen in the much anticipated comedy. That's all we wanted to tell you about Coming to America behind the scenes. And while you're here, be sure to check out our other videos about Eddie Murphy's life and career, and stay super awesome.